morning and oh, thank you. Good morning. At all the downtown restaurants combined. We have to set up classrooms for 33,000 students, hire the teachers, get the books, get the computers into those classrooms. So you know that is a logistical challenge. But it looks like we're in pretty good shape for the start of school. So, but really, above all, the start of school, it's an exciting time. And as you'll learn later this morning, we have some really new and exciting reasons to be optimistic this year about teaching and learning with our students and the future of our community. But at the same time, we're not going to get rid of tradition. And what could be more traditional than a high school band? So we are going to get off to a rousing start this morning, and we've invited one of the best bands in the entire city to join us. So get ready for the Withrow Marching Band under the direction of Michael Wade. Well, that was great, wasn't it? Thank you to Mr. Wade, our talented students, and to Withrow Principal Paul Daniels. Now, many of you might not know, I was a Withrow Tiger at one time. I am in the Tiger Orange, but that's not really why. I was told by the public affairs staff I had to match the balloons. So here I am. All right. Again, welcome to the Cincinnati Public Schools State of the Schools. And the event really has expanded to more and more partners every year. So at this time, I would really like to welcome all the stakeholders who have joined us today. So let's start with the Board of Education members and elected officials. Would you please stand for a round of applause? All of our board members. Now, if any members of our CFT employee groups are here, I thought I saw Julie Sellers, Jeff Crystal. Well, let's give them a round of applause. Hi, Julie. All right. How about our great principals and assistant principals? Will you please stand? Yes. I know you all have been devoting many, many hours to make sure the school year gets off to a great start, so thank you. Now, our central administrators who've been busy supporting our field staff. Central office administrators, please stand. If we have any of our teachers in the room, please stand. I know we got a couple out there. Now, I know that the children aren't back until next week, but I know a lot of our teachers have slipped back into their classrooms to get things ready, so thank you to our teachers. All right, the funders of our community learning centers and other initiatives, would you please stand? How about our parent and our parent group leaders? And I know Lethell Bryan for Parents for Public Schools, he's out there. All right. Vanessa's out there. Resource coordinators who are working to provide services for our youngsters every day in our schools, would you please stand? And would our business, health, arts, environmental, and faith-based, oh guys. How about our religious folk please stand? And if we have any city or county partners here, please stand. Oh, we'll give them a round of applause anyway. And although we really don't have a lot of students here, because I think they've already gotten on the bus, let's give a round of applause to our students, our most important youngsters. All right, now for the agenda. I hope you're going to like it. Now, in a few minutes, I'm going to bring up some of our Board of Education members to welcome you, but I wanted you to see kind of a preview of the day. We have a fabulous keynote speaker here today, Martin Davison from the University of Virginia, the Darden School of Business, and actually he's been a great friend to Cincinnati Public Schools, and so it's always wonderful to have him here to give us insight. Then there'll be a short break, and then you'll hear the really big... Ooh, well, there you go. Woo. All right, the really big news is the new... I think that really was supposed to be some kind of drum roll, but it scared me. It's our My Tomorrow initiative. Then we will close then Laura Mitchell, our Deputy Superintendent, and her staff will roll that out, and then we will close the day with a performance by our great students again from, these are one of our partners, Elements Center in Over the Rhine. So we have a great day in store for you. So now, oh, and before I go on, I do want to introduce, we do have some new school leaders this year, and just because we all want to be able to identify our new principals, I am going to ask them to stand when I call your name, because we have 6 new leaders this year. We have Ted Jevons at Covedale School. Welcome back, Ted. We need to get the band back in here. Ted has, he did a short stint in another district, and he has come back. So we are so glad you are back with us. All right, we have Jeffrey Hall, who's principal of Frederick Douglass School. And Jeff was the assistant principal at Aiken, and now he's one of our principals. We also have Amber Simpson at Rothenburg Preparatory Academy. Amber was also an assistant principal last year. We have Jeffrey Souders at Sailor Park, way out on the western end of town. We have Jonathan Brown at Taft Elementary. And Sierra Badgett from Ethel Taylor Academy. And at this time, I would like to allow my bosses a few minutes to talk, as any smart superintendent would do. And I've got a lovely picture of our board members. You know, they're a great mixture of new and, I can't say old, but more seasoned board members. Our president is Eve Bolton, vice president Chris Nelms, and we have our most senior board member is Melanie Bates. She's been with the board the longest. Alex Coons joined our board in 2012, and this past January we got 3 great new members. Erica Copeland Dansby, we have Elisa Hoffman, and Daniel Manera. So at this time, I believe they said that our board president is going to come up and say a few words. Eve Bolton. Let's give her a big round of applause. Now, I notice we have 2 former board members in the room, too. So I do want to recognize Vanessa White and Kathy Ingram. So glad you're still working with us. And I do want to thank all the board members. On May 1st, the board approved actually new board goals in 5 different areas, and that really helped the administration frame our work around the board goals. So thank you for clarifying the direction we're supposed to move in. So we are very excited about the school year that is about to start, and we really want to build upon some of our successes, work on some of the challenges we've had, and really extend our commitment to be family friendly. So with that being said, let's start with the family friendly piece. In a few weeks, we are going to be offering our students, families, community partners a mobile app that we really believe will suit the new generation's lifestyle and really provide our parents the information they need. The CPS app, which will be available in September, will give parents, they can get access to district news, lunch menus, student academic data, all kinds of alerts. Now, I think this might be very, very valuable. I certainly don't want another winter like we had last year. But if it is a bad winter, we're going to have a mobile app to alert people to the school closings and all the other issues that transpired. Now, like all other apps, it'll also help us to collect valuable information and get input from our stakeholders and our parents and help us update our databases. So we're really, really excited that this is rolling out. Now, another way we're building on our success is really thanking our partners who really have, many of you are here today, who have really helped us gain national recognition for our community learning centers. It seems like this past year, all over the country, Cincinnati was mentioned in the New York Times, which was pretty impressive. In fact, I have a relative who said his life's goal was to be in the New York Times, quoted, and by golly, Cincinnati Public Schools was quoted in the New York Times. And it's all around our community learning centers. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, the Minneapolis Star-Tribune are just a few of the media outlets that talked about Cincinnati and our wraparound services in our community learning centers. And the other exciting event that happened last year is the Coalition for Community Schools National Conference was held in Cincinnati. And the real reason it was here, it was because of our community learning centers. Oh, I thought it was a drum roll.
Is this thing? Give me 1 second.
All of our community learning center partners, thank you for what you've done. Now, we want to continue the momentum in 2014-15. So this year, we are increasing the number of CLCs to 39. You know, the goal is for all of our schools to be community learning centers, and we are well on our way. This is the largest number ever, and we have 3 new ones at Roselawn, Aiken, and Hughes High School. So congratulations. Now, another big project last year really revolved around the 3rd grade guarantee. And I have to tell you, I was very, very, very nervous last October when our youngsters took that 3rd grade test in October, the beginning of their 3rd grade year, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students did not get a passing score. But all of our elementary staffs, our community partners, everyone pulled together. And I don't mind telling you now that as of right now, 97% of our 3rd graders are being promoted to 4th grade. That's 97%. I mean, we really do need to give our teachers a round of applause. This is truly, truly incredible. Now, we've got to keep the momentum going this year. And we know that collaboration really has helped us greatly last year. And we want to make sure that all of our youngsters are reading at grade level by the end of third grade. So to accomplish this, you know, we are working more closely across departments. We're working with our partners. We have a comprehensive new framework for early literacy. And we're taking it, quite frankly, we've written some grants and using those dollars to really work on early literacy, because we know if we can't get that right, it'll be very difficult for the middle and high school program to function effectively. And we also have received grants for after-school literacy programs for the family, because we know that parents are a key component in early literacy. All right, so now we've really covered the early literacy piece, but now we need to talk about the other end we need to work on. And that really is our high schools. As many of you know, the state of Ohio is increasing and really changing the graduation requirements with this year's freshman class, because they will be the class of 2018. So we want all of our students to be ready to reach that higher bar. So later today, you'll learn in more detail about the strategies we are going to use to make sure that our high school students are college and career ready. Now, some of the strategies that we are using this year, it's really, as you can see on the screen, we're really talking about expanding our dual enrollment, our advanced placement offerings to make sure that our youngsters are performing at the high level that they need to be, because those are the demands of the workforce and college in today's global economy. So, before I introduce our fabulous keynote speaker, I want to just talk a little bit about the My Tomorrow initiative, which the second half of our program will be about. Now, we've been trying to get the word out on social media. So right now, this is the one time that you actually can take out your cell phone and tweet if you would like, because we want to get the good news out. So feel free to do that. And in fact, I think over there on the screen, we got some folks tweeting about our My Tomorrow new initiative. All right, so next on the agenda, before we roll out the new initiative, I would like to tell you a little bit about our keynote speaker today. It is Dr. Martin Davison. He is a professor of organizational leadership at the University of Virginia. And I understand you do a whole lot of tweeting. I see he already has his phone out. All right. Dr. Davison is a highly sought after consultant to Fortune 500 firms with expertise in leveraging diversity, conflict management, and creating value through diversity. And he is actually a world traveler. I understand you have been in Tibet most recently. And I really think one of the most important associations we have had in recent years has been our partnership with the University of Virginia. They helped us so greatly with our elementary initiative that improved our 16 lowest performing elementary schools. And it's been wonderful that we have been able to keep that relationship and have you here today. So at this time, let's give a big round of applause to Dr. Martin Davison.
It's a pleasure to be here. You can hear me? I want to use this. Well, I'm not going to try that. Things will happen. It's a pleasure to be here. I have had the opportunity and the honor of coming and spending time with you all on a few different occasions, and it's always enjoyable. I'm a native Ohioan. I'm a Clevelander. Hey! But in addition to being a Clevelander and a proud Clevelander, and a product of the Cleveland Public School System. Up to high school, I was set to go to Collinwood High School. I ended up going to private school from there, only because of the tensions and the racial tensions that were present in Cleveland at the time. But it's because of my education and my experience in the public school system that I have developed a kind of a passion for this work. And so even though I do lots of work with companies and all over the world, I always come to Cincinnati whenever I get the call, if it's at all possible. And so I'm happy to be here this morning and happy to be able to speak with you this morning. I wanted to take time to talk to you this morning about leadership. Because since that's what I teach, so I figure that's the only thing I know, so I might as well talk to you about that. And in particular, educational leadership. And I wanted to ask the question, how many people here hold positions of leadership in the Cincinnati schools? Is anyone not holding up your hand? I can't see anything. It's important because I agree that it is every single one of you. And I don't know if this is true for you, but I know for me, at different parts of my life, especially in different roles I was in, I felt that I wasn't really a leader. There were leaders, and I was great at what I did, but I wasn't a leader. And what I want to do is I want to reframe that and to have you thinking about yourselves as leader, because it's part of how we think at Darden School at the University of Virginia, is how we think about leadership. Everyone has the capacity, the potential, and the opportunity to lead. And more in our organizations, in our schools today, we need people leading. We need people with that mindset. And I'm talking about mindset. It is mindset. And so I wanted to just make 3 points this morning in my remarks to you. Because I've been doing this kind of work, keynote speaking, I've done TED Talks and things like that, and actually I'm a psychologist by training. Yeah, psychology is great. And so there are only certain things that we can process at a given time. And I also have, for myself, it took me a while to figure this out, when I was studying poetry in school, that when people would read and recite poetry, I just can't get it. I can't understand it. When I read it, I totally get it. But when people speak the words, I just hear the sounds. I really love the sounds. The sounds are often very beautiful. I just don't know what it means. And so it's this very interesting way of thinking, and when I give these talks, that I don't like to overload with lots of different kind of messages. I just want to give you 3. Educational leadership, being a leader, is about 3 things. It's about building your capacity for self-awareness. It's about your ability to connect across difference. And it's about seeing the bigger picture. Those are the 3 things. It's not all it's about, but yeah, it's all it's about, really. Let me talk about them just for a moment, so you know what I mean. Building self-awareness. I'm going to take a moment, and perhaps this mic will work. I don't know if any of you have ever seen this particular drawing. Well, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. I don't know if anyone has ever seen this particular drawing. It's called the hard window. So some have seen it, yes, right? Okay, fill it out for me.
Things I know about myself. Things I know about myself.
Okay, known to self. Known to others, right? Now, what's this one?
Not known to myself or others.
Well, not known to myself, for sure. And not known to others. And it's a very interesting 2x2, all right, because there are a variety of things that we know about ourselves and other people know about it. We talk about this as public information, right? It's freely given, it's freely offered. I won't have you decide, we'll have you do something else in a moment. But a lot of times you say, it's not But there's other information here that makes up who we are, and all of this is written. As you can see, this is just a part, this is just a quarter. Over here, there are things that are known to others, but not known to me. What is that? Yeah. Other people are seeing me, but I'm not seeing that in myself. They call them blind spots. Then they have one here, which is things that I know about myself, but other people don't know. Private information. And then there's stuff over here that I don't know and nobody else knows. I don't know what that is, right? Sometimes that's unconscious, but that's important too. And the fundamental challenge around a leader knowing her or himself is the capacity to widen this box. And whenever I say that, people sort of say, hang on. They sort of say, there's some things that I don't necessarily want other people to know. I want to keep it myself. And that's good. That's actually important. TMI, we don't really need that all that much. Appropriate information is great. My point about this, about the leader's capability and skill, is that part of what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to be free. And what happens oftentimes here is not so much that, let's talk about private for a second, it's not so much that it's not okay to be private, but it's that sometimes we are afraid to share information. Because we're worried about how people will see us and what they'll think about us. And that's not freedom, that's bondage. So I'm doing a lot of work now. My next book is about weird people, about weird. So I'm going to places and I'm studying weird people. And it's defined as people, and I know some of you are going to know. It's defined as people who within their work, within their unit, are seen as real outliers. And I'm very, very interested in what allows those people to be successful in what they do. What allows them to thrive? Not just to okay, to thrive, to really grow. And what is it that organizations do to support that? I'm really interested in that. And this is relevant because part of the reason we hide things is because we're different. We're unusual. We're unique. We're all a little bit weird. And we don't want people to see that weird. And so you got to get over that. I always talk about this, one of the elements of being a leader, one of the real experiences of being a leader, those of you who have done it probably will know this, is that when you're in a position of leadership, people watch you a lot, right? I mean, oh, that's a cool party, right? People are watching. We're watching because you're visible, but we're also watching because we want to understand our leaders. We want to know what they are doing, what they think. We want to understand what they need from us. It's human. It's natural. And so we're constantly watching. What that means is that when you are a leader, people are watching your every move. So when you're a leader and you're sitting at a particular meeting and from your face, while someone is giving a talk, what does that mean? It means if I'm giving my talk, I need to prepare my resume. I'm done. Right? Because I'm making up a story about the leader. And what in fact is happening is that I just didn't sleep very well last night. And so I'm just trying to say, wait, this is a really interesting talk. So I'm just trying to say that I need to talk. But in the absence of being able to tell that story, in the absence of the leader being able to be transparent, people are going to make up stories about it. Because people need to know, they need to understand what's happening. So take control of the message. And you take control of the message by your ability to share of yourself. By your ability to choose not to only be private, to choose not to hide parts of yourself that people need to see and know. That's why it's important to open that box. It's important to open this box too. Why this one? Well, because, well, it's so funny. I'm conscious as I'm talking to you right now in my language. I'm conscious of my language. audition for the I was in Tibet, I was in Tibet in July, and I didn't know this, so I'm not going to say everyone else does, but Tibet is located in central China, on a plateau about anywhere from 7,000 to 11,000 feet. Which, by the way, fun fact, I was there for 3 weeks and lost 7 pounds. And the reason is because that when you're at higher elevations, apparently it kicks up your metabolism and it also flattens your appetite. About 3 miles a week. But when I was there, we made a lot of visits. We were visiting because what you need to know about Tibet is an occupied country. The Chinese government essentially controls Tibetan spaces and police presence is there often. As Americans, we were there with a team of Americans. We were watched. Some of the Tibetans we literally fought with were summarily detained and held overnight in prison. They let them go home at 4 o'clock. They didn't do anything excessive. They didn't want to talk to Americans. So it's always very interesting. I was having an interesting conversation with my advisor. You know that guy and we were talking about what a great place the United States is. It is a great place. And it's not a perfect place. We have problems here. But when I'm in a context like that, and I see some of that, the dynamics of what people deal with there, I'm agreeing with you here. But my point about the language was we visited a school for the blind. Because part of Tibetan culture, part of what happens, is that children who are born blind are essentially seen as useless individuals. I mean, families are human, of course, they love their children, but the children's society is simply cast. They have a certain purpose that they can't see. It's also believed to some extent that they may be possessed by demons. And so they're actually marginalized. And so we were at school, there's this wonderful school, and these children were truly thriving, and they were hilarious. And they knew that we were there, and they were excited, and they were messing with us at times. They would walk through, they would say, beep, 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 beep. They had all manner of things. It was wonderful, and it reminded me just of the moment of awareness around the privilege I had at the time. So, and I use the language to make you think about that. But my point is simply that the whole idea of expanding this box so that you don't have places where you're not able to see how you were affecting other people, eliminating that, reducing that, that's part of the solution. You have to be self-aware. You have to know who you are. You have to know exactly what motivates you. The other important piece around this place, and perhaps this is connected to that lower box, I don't know, but it's something that I talk about with those of you who are perfect world will know that I talk about this today, so important, is that it's kind of like the ego. Anybody have ego here? Okay. Now, I don't mean necessarily ego like, oh, I have to tell you I'm great. I don't mean that. Are there any shy people here? They're not great at it. Come on, say that. All the shy. Ego is the term I like to use is self-focus. So it's not about sort of being kind of really being. Sometimes it's least of it. But always, leaders are challenged to maintain a position between two different poles. One pole is self-focus. It's what about me? I highlight introverts, which I think I'm an introvert. And one of the things about us as introverts is that we're constantly thinking about ourselves. We're really focused on what's happening inside me. Often it excludes lots of other people. It's really a fascinating place to be. I'm not telling you about it, but I'm introverted. You follow me. And so there's that pole, which is self-focus. And then there's another pole, which is about the mission. It's about the larger purpose, the larger goal. And as leaders, as educational leaders, the challenge of maintaining your balance, your mind, where you are, not about you as the great leader who could run the show. I imagine there are many of you who are very skilled at running the show. Is that true? You know what I mean by running the show? You're in control. You run this, right? Do this, do that. I like working with entrepreneurs and principals. They're very similar to each other. You all like to run the show. Running the show is an important skill. Running the show and simply enjoying that you're in charge, that's of all the place. It's got to be about the larger purpose. It's got to be about the kids. It's got to be about the schools. It's got to be about the community and the society. It's got to be about what you all do. I often travel to Asia, to India, other parts of the country, and I see what's happening in public schools, other places in the world. And while there's a great deal that we do well, there are some places that we have to improve. Because I was in India on a state holiday, and we visited Teach for India. And on the state holiday, we went to a small town/village. And on a state holiday, we went into a back alley down sort of a cement area. We saw to the right a one-room windowless cement room, which is their classroom. And we went out on the outside deck, and the teachers were there working with the students, preparing Shakespeare's as lunch. And the students were working, and they were loving, and they were engaged. And that's just the net. What they're doing in terms of engineering and science is part of the very foundation of education. In a fundamentally, oftentimes very impoverished, very difficult society, we've all heard stories about what happens to women and girls in Asia. It's a difficult place, and education is a large goal. So that's part of the context. That's part of the larger goal, larger vision. I'm going to come back to that in a minute, too, because the first part is about building awareness, building self-awareness. There's a second part to leadership, and that's about connection and relationship. As Mary introduced, I do a lot of work on diversity. My dean says this about me. He likes the titles. I wrote a book on diversity. I wrote one book. I like it. But what's important to me is our capacity to build connections across our lives. And one of the things that I see effective leaders always able to do is to do precisely that. And building connection isn't just about being nice and being friendly and everything. Sometimes it's about fighting really, really well. That's what building connection is all about. What I want to do is I want to take a moment and invite you all to build connection. Just for a moment. So what I need to do is to choose someone here you can be going to talk to. And ideally, I know we're at tables, but tables are fine. You're not at tables, you just sit here. Find someone, find a partner who is not your best friend, not your buddy, someone who you know will travel with well. Would you do that right now, please? Yes. I'll tell you what to talk about.
I'm about to switch that mic up against me.
Yeah, okay.
This mic off, you guys leaving?
Here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to have a conversation with your partner just for a couple of minutes. but I'd like you to do it in a very particular way, and then I'm going to give you the topic. Let me tell you how I'd like you to talk first, and then I'm going to tell you what I'd like you to talk about, okay? Here's how I'd like you to talk. You're in pairs, and what I want is I want one person to speak while the other person listens. Now, the person who's listening, I'd like you to listen. What that means is you don't interject, you don't say stuff, you don't say, oh, I know exactly what you mean. Shut up. Okay? You don't jump up and down and gesticulate. Sit quietly, sit still. And the person who's speaking doesn't speak. Now, I'm going to give you a couple minutes each to speak. And so what may happen when you hear the topic is that the first person is speaking and then one person is listening. And the person who's speaking ends up sort of running out of things to say after 30 seconds. Okay? If that happens, the two of you will sit quietly for the rest of the time. Now, the person who's speaking may want to start talking again. That's fine. Because that time belongs to that person. And you as a listener, that time, that 2 minutes, is your time simply to listen. Is that clear? And then I will hopefully use the mic and tell you when to switch. All right? Okay. So our instructions are clear. I need you to decide who's going to go first. So let's do that real quick. Okay? And now, the topic. Here's the topic. The topic is, you're going to have 2 minutes. I've got to get my little timer thing going here. You're going to have 2 minutes or so, but you'll have the same amount of time to talk about the following topic. How my personal and cultural background shapes me as a professional today. How my personal and cultural background shapes me as a professional today. Let me give you an example, just so you sort of have a sense. Okay, so this is me. I'm not going to time myself for 2 minutes. I'm going to time myself for a while. So I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. Born on the east side of Cleveland. Cleveland's a very interesting city, especially when I grew up because it's kind of a Neapolitan city. On the far east side, it was white people. Then in the next side, it was like black people. Then you go downtown, it's kind of mixed up. Then you go to the east, and it's a little sort of Hispanic people. Then you go into a bunch of other white people. Okay, so it's just all these slices. There was not a lot of interaction. So when I grew up, I was operating primarily within my own neighborhood, my own area in the east side of Cleveland, the Glenville area. But when I went to school, and this happened to me at Captain Arthur Rockland public school system, I was tagged early on as a gifted child, so I was put in major work. And major work was kind of a very different kind of place. It was much more integrated with kids from different areas that we came there. And so I had the experience at that time of connecting with kids who were different from me, but also feeling particularly strange myself because I was actually a big kid. I was kind of fat. And I was bigger than everybody else. I would beat people up because I didn't know anything else to do. And so as I grew up, though, part of what occurred to me, even within my family because of my school situation, but even within my classroom, is that I was always a little bit different. I was a smart kid. I was sort of the smarter kid, one of the smarter kids in the class, and so I always stood out that way. I ended up finding a childhood friend out in California the other day. I was telling her, I said, I didn't realize this, but when I was a kid, I was kind of shy and weird. She said, of course you were shy and weird. We all knew that. I didn't know that at the time. But I see that part of that experience shaped what I began to do as I grew up, because I began to have a real interest in people who are different. That's why I started doing this work on diversity. And as I began to see myself and understand myself racially and what I was as a black person, and what that meant in the predominantly white environments that I went to when I was in high school. I went to college at Harvard and at Stanford. And I was sort of like always sort of unusual. And so I began to understand that. And interestingly, part of my early research was on anger because so frequently I was time out. Okay? So that's what you're going to do. I mean, you're not going to do my story. You're going to do your own. But for 2 minutes. Are you ready? Yes. Okay. Go!
Gotta hold it up.
Okay. Oh, good.
To do that, I'm just out of curiosity, just to get a few. What was it like to engage in that exercise, particularly when you were speaking? What was it like to be the speaker as you were doing that? Empowering? Okay. You felt good to be able to talk out. What else?
I share things about myself that I didn't really know influenced me as an adult.
New information came up that you started sharing, yeah? Yeah. It was difficult, you said. Why?
I'm like now. Everybody look at me.
My sister in shyness, yes. But difficult just to be the center of attention, right? Absolutely, yeah. It was natural. It felt natural. Say a little bit more. What do you mean? Like, like meeting people, talking about yourself, finding out. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah. What was it like when you were listening? Hard to shut up, right? Why? Why was it so hard to?
At part I didn't feel like I was as engaged because I couldn't say, yeah, oh, yeah. I mean, I felt less engaged even though I knew I was listening.
Right.
I just didn't feel quite like I was in the conversation like I normally would with folks.
Yeah. When I took your voice away and everything, you couldn't like really be there, right?
It felt a little bit like that.
Yeah. It was stilted. Yeah. It's an interesting exercise, and it's not just an exercise. It's actually something. If you want, you can use it other places. Always tell people you're doing that. Don't just do it, because they'll think you're really strange. The exercise is called constructivist listening, and it's. I'll put the word up here. It could be, and the word has a very specific meaning, because part of what you're doing is you're listening, of course, but as a speaker, you are constructing a story, right? And the reason I highlight this particular exercise, it's an illustration for me of the second point about the importance of the leadership skill of connecting across difference. Because one of the profound issues around difference that escapes most of us most of the time is that when I'm truly connecting with someone who's different, not just maybe in how they look or what their background is, but even in what the stories and the way they construct their stories, part of what that means is that there's something there that I don't know. There's unfamiliar territory. And it's the classic challenge we always talk about in work around diversity, which is not knowing what you don't know. And so one of the reasons I held back from having you sort of nod and sort of get involved is when you're listening and you're nodding and getting involved, I want you to start thinking about that as a power move. It's a distinct power move in an interaction, because what's happening is you and I are talking and you're telling me something, and so I'm going to give you some signals about what I want to hear and what I don't want to hear. All right, so you're going to talk about something and I'm going to be like, but you're going to go away from that. And then you're going to talk to me about your time when you went to Cleveland. I'm going to be like, oh yeah, you know I'm from Cleveland. Oh yeah, tell me more. Yeah, oh I loved it there. Next thing you know, it's about me and not about her. And we do this all the time. We just do it. It's just kind of what we do. It's kind of a natural back and forth. And this exercise is interesting because it introduces the discipline of staying still and holding so that you can actually take in something new. And it's hard to do because your mind is kind of like, I want to talk about it. Or she's saying something so interesting. If only I could just jump in. But after a while, your mind kind of quiets down, and then you start actually listening to the person, and you're not working on the thing that you're going to say as soon as they get done talking. This skill of being able to listen for difference is a way of connecting. It's a way of putting yourself in someone else's shoes. And it seems in many ways simple and kind of staid, but I like talking about this, thinking about this, because there's so many fundamental challenges in how we connect across our differences. There's so many conflicts. I've been deeply watching, obviously, as I'm sure we all have, what's been happening in the Middle East and Iraq, and coming from China and seeing what's going there. And there are profound issues, profound problems and challenges, and the ways in which we cross difference, the skills that we practice ourselves and that we teach our children, that's what's going to make a difference, if anything's going to make a difference moving forward. And so the second leadership domain really is how it is that we cross difference, how we build connection across difference. And this is just one way of doing it. The third piece that I want to share with you is just something. I want to show you a clip here in a minute. And it may be a clip that some of you have seen, but every time I see it, it continues to fascinate me. And it highlights this third piece for me of leadership, which is the capacity to see the bigger picture. The capacity not to get caught in the weeds and to be able to see, what is it, to see the forest for the trees? Is that, to not, yeah, you don't want to be stuck not seeing the forest for the trees. I love the film. I think it was back from the 90s. The film was called, oh gosh, the little boy, he was a chess player. Searching for Bobby Fischer. That was exactly it. Had great stars, Lawrence Fishburne and Gandhi. The actor who played Gandhi, Ben Kingsley, right? Gandhi was in the film. It was really fascinating how they did that. And I love one scene where Ben Kingsley is teaching the little boy how to play a particular move, and he's really stuck, and the scene recurs in the film. It's a wonderful film if you haven't seen it. But as he's teaching him, the boy's like, I see this, I can't figure it out, I can't figure it out, I can't figure it out. He's just stuck. And Ben Kingsley, as his teacher, says, let me make it easy for you. And he just wipes all the pieces and knocks all the pieces off the board. And part of what it did was it allowed the boy to sort of relax from sticking on that particular problem and to just step back, see the whole chessboard, and then he was able to figure out what the right move is. We need to be able to do the same thing ourselves on a regular and daily basis. I understand that from what I see, from the work that we've done at the University of Virginia with our Darden Curry PLE program, where we're working with leaders who are trying to turn around failing schools, I understand the experience that I think every single person in this room has, which is there aren't enough hours in the day to do what you need to do. Is that correct? Okay. Is anybody slumming it? Anybody taking it easy? Right. And so in the midst of that, it becomes very, very easy to be caught up and captured by the urgent, immediate thing, the emergency thing. And in fact, it even will sometimes be and feel completely justifiable. It could be life or death. I'll come back to that in a moment too. But part of what a leader needs to be able to do is to create the space and the time. And sometimes it's about carving out time in your schedule, but it's also sometimes about just training your mind not to get stuck and caught in the drama of the day-to-day, but to remember the larger purpose and the larger picture. Let me show you this clip. The speaker is actually the speaker you won't see, Sir Kenneth Robinson. You may be familiar with him. He does a lot of work on education and creativity. He's been a TED Talk person and so on and so forth. This particular speech he gave at the Royal Society, RSA, Royal Society, I'm blanking on what the A is. It's Arts or Academy, I'm not sure which. But he gave the speech in Philadelphia. The speech is about an hour. It's really interesting. You can get it on YouTube. You can watch it. But what I want to show you is about a 10-minute clip. And the 10-minute clip is simply excerpts from the speech where they have the person who, have you seen these people who are at conferences where they're drawing what people say and drawing what people do? So apparently this person took clips of the speech and then is drawing it. So as we watch it, you're going to hear Robinson's voice, but you're also going to see the pictures that are drawn. So let me just take a minute and share that with you, and let's enjoy this.
Every country on earth at the moment is reforming public education. There are two reasons for it. The first one is economic. People are trying to work out how do we
why don't you just take a couple of minutes and just chat with each other, just for a couple of minutes, just reactions to what you saw, just so you have a chance to. Yeah, done. Great, thank you.
I anticipate some of our principals will want the link. Can you
Oh, absolutely.
send it to
Whatever way is the best way. Just to, there's more to talk about, but just popcorn. Immediate thoughts, immediate reactions? Just things that pop up there on your mind as you sort of pay attention to this? Yes.
The whole idea that going the one way, if our children don't see themselves in that one way, then they start to quit.
Right, right. Yeah, exactly. If this is the way to do it, and if I don't fit there, then I'm done. Right, exactly. Other things, other things that struck you that are just, yes.
We have a teacher at Big Workplace that just said it's a lot about how you ask the question as an educator
Mm-hmm.
and whether you encourage curiosity.
Yeah.
And so we have the ability to make some very much is what we expect, but the way in which we ask questions, the way in which we engage our learners.
Absolutely. I think it's absolutely true. That's what leadership is about. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 It's the control model. And it's funny, I remember, I mean, there are various bits and pieces of that, especially of the history of public education, because I used to study, when I was in college, I studied intelligence testing. And so I learned all these kinds of things, but the thing that I continue to, even as at 53, as I continue to sort of day to day, I'm still working with what's the conditioning that's happened in my life and in my education that's led me in that way and shut me down from some other things that I could do. And the reason I raised that, and by the way, just as a side note, if you were interested in that particular clip, I encourage you to just hit YouTube and just look for Ken Robinson. And you'll see a variety of, that's who the speaker was. You'll see this, you'll see the entire speech, which is pretty funny. He's a funny guy. You'll see TED Talk, you'll see other things too. Very interesting guy. But I highlight this because for me, in our particular context that we're talking about today, this is what the bigger picture is about. Here we're talking mission. We're talking about what it is we're trying to do with kids, what it is that how we're trying to create, to educate children, to teach them to thrive in their society and in the world. That's what we're really talking about. And I know the day-to-day really captures your attention and captures your idea, but the capacity to remember, and this is always the way that I'll say that. Let me say it again. It's the capacity to remember the bigger picture. We're all very intelligent, well-educated people. We know the picture. The challenge as leaders is that we don't remember. We forget, we get caught up in the day-to-day, and so how is it that you let yourself remember what's important? And that's going to be critical. To that end, as I close, I want to tell you something about why I keep coming back here. My school year is starting up as yours is, and because of our staffing in my department, I am the head of a coordinated course. So the students are arriving on Saturday. The course kicks off on Monday. So I have to manage my team. I've got a team of 5 teachers, 5 of the faculty, 2 of whom are brand new. So I have to coach them. I'm the only senior person in my group because the other senior people have moved to different positions or left the school. So I'm kind of the only one who's doing it right now. And so I also have to lead the area. So we're doing a recruiting search and so on and so forth. So that's happening too. And then a bunch of other people keep sending me emails about other crazy stuff that I have to deal with too. So there's a lot going on right now, but I don't care because I'm here. And I want to be here and the reason I want to be here is because I remember to this day very clearly, I can see the dinner table at the University of Virginia at Darden. We were doing one of the Partners for Leadership in Education, PLE is the name of the program, and Cincinnati was there. And I don't know, I taught something that day, I don't know what I did, but what was important is we had dinner every evening, and so I'm sitting at this table of about 8 people, and they were all principals from this school system. I don't know if anyone here is in the room who was there that evening. Were you there? You remember this? Okay, oh, thank you. It's so nice to see you again. Because for me, it was such a profound moment. And I tell this story all the time. I was telling my wife and whenever I talk to people. Because we sat at this table at dinner and it was fun. You all are hilarious. And what struck me so deeply were a few different things. One is a remarkably intelligent, self-aware, interesting group of people sitting at the table. People who were thoughtful, and I knew this from class too because we'd had class discussion, but people who sort of were, I call them sort of, the emotional EQ stuff, the emotional intelligence stuff. These people were really, really good at that. I was struck by the rapport. You all seemed to like each other. And not just like each other, but you knew each other, which told me that there was something that happened back here at home, that had you connecting in some ways, that this very, very diverse group of people, different schools, sort of had linkages. That wasn't just, it seemed to me at least, it wasn't just from that program. You knew each other. And then I just listened to the stories. And you have to imagine now, we're sitting at this round table, it's evening time, and the sunlight is kind of, that kind of golden sunlight coming in through the window. It's kind of shadowy. UVA is kind of nice. You should come sometime. And as we're sitting there, people are just talking and telling stories. And you were telling stories about gifted kids and some of the wacky things that they did. It reminded me of my elementary school, my junior high school experience with Charlie Martin, who sat next to me in the back of the room. Charlie was a good kid. And one day, Charlie just started climbing up the back wall. No particular reason. He just felt like moving. So he just climbed up the back wall. And, Charlie, get down off the back wall. Kids just do funny things. And so we talked about that, and we talked about some of the bright, brilliant kids. And then we talked about sort of one, or actually, I remember being more than one experience of the principal at the table having to tell a child that their mother was dead and laying outside in the alley in the back of the school. And I sat and listened to these stories, and I wanted to have a camera. You know those cameras and the film, and you kind of you're just panning around and you're just capturing all the different people? Because the stories were so profound, so clear, and the conversation so deep and so beautifully captured the capacity of you all, and I say you all, to be emotionally intelligent and self-aware, to be clear and wanting to do better, to be connected across differences, across different interests, different identities, and so on, and to see what was really important, which is about these children. And so I thank you all. I thank you for that moment. And I thank you for every opportunity I have to come here and be with you, because what you do is remarkable. And I just like kind of being in the mojo, just being in the midst of it. It's really fabulous. And I especially love being in Ohio, in my home state. I left when I went to college, and while all my family is still in Cleveland, there's something about when I land in the airport that feels like home. Thank you for welcoming me back. Thank you for your attention, and thank you for what you do.
And thank you so much for being a partner with Cincinnati Public Schools all these years. After the second part of our program is going to be Laura Mitchell and her staff talking about our My Tomorrow initiative. But right now we're going to take a 15-minute break until 10:25. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a fax machine. According to a survey of 7,000 global professionals, it will likely disappear in the United States by 2017. That is no surprise.
This is a thumb drive. This will likely disappear too. So will cubicles, corner offices, and standard working hours. Do you want us to be prepared? You can count to 3. Go.
Do you want us to be prepared for that?
By the time I graduate, human resource managers will have the sophisticated software to review my social media profiles so that they may determine my fit in their company's culture. Do you want me prepared for that?
This is a smartphone. In 5 years, I should be able to build my own smartphone using a 3D printer. Do you want me prepared for that?
So yes, we want you prepared for that and a lot more. And actually, we need you to be prepared. So imagine a place called school, where students have access to a rigorous curriculum that helps them to be able to master tougher requirements for graduation and a plan for a future. Imagine a place called school where students have access to digital lessons in every content area. Imagine a place where students have the opportunity to connect with an adult on a weekly basis to focus on their career aspirations and their dreams. Imagine a place called school, where there is a playbook that gives you individualized custom plays delivered to you, tailored to your needs. And imagine a place called school, where every student has a tablet or a laptop, and they have access to the tools and information that they need in order to be successful. These devices will help facilitate project-based learning, help facilitate and help them participate in dual enrollment, advanced placement courses, and a personalized career plan. Welcome to the new vision for Cincinnati Public Schools education. This is a launch for our high school initiative, My Tomorrow. We invite you to enter.
Engagement, collaboration, real-world connections, technology, social skills, critical thinking, creativity. One, two, three, let's go. My teachers understand me. What I need to know, what are the best ways to learn, they are my best resources.
This is my place, designed for me and my learning needs.
We have guiding principles behind everything we do, and it's my job to help make our learning community a great place.
These are not just my teachers. They're my advisors, my mentors, and my role models.
There are no boundaries here. I partner with teams in all disciplines to meet my learning objectives.
Learning is a team sport, and I work with my classmates, my family, and my community to be successful.
Navia is a powerful tool to help me in my education and career
could my journey take? The right courses,
Job training.
internships,
Post-secondary plans.
Playbook is a new software program that gives me personalized plays to complete so that I stay on track with all my learning objectives. It's all online, and this laptop is the key to the power of Playbook. I just log into Playbook and I have access to the apps that address every aspect of my learning experience. Google Docs, where my school documents are stored. Apps that can access teacher information, assignments, grades, and test scores. Reading, math, language arts, and text skills, and knowledge. My education and career planning tool. I can sign into all these apps with Playbook. More importantly, Playbook is constantly analyzing information from all these programs and creating my Playbook, the plays that will help me improve my performance. So, if my grades or test scores need work in a given area, my Playbook recommends exercises that will help me improve. Online tests, tutoring, whatever. My advisors and I can see I'm adapting socially and emotionally to the academy environment. Or, let's say it's time to create a resume now. My Playbook will remind me of an on-screen icon. Everything is tailored to my needs, including the avatar I select to help me navigate through my Playbook. And my Playbook is accessible anywhere, through school laptops, my own personal tablet, or my smartphone. My Playbook is working for me, so that I'm always working toward my learning goals.
This is my home away from home.
My learning place. My growing place.
My best plan for my future.
My tomorrow, Ed.
My tomorrow, Ed.
My tomorrow, Ed.
Isn't that exciting and cool? Those are our students. That's CPS, the new face. So exciting.
See, that all sounds good, but what does that really mean for me?
So here's what it means for you. You know, I actually love this quote from Anne Frank. How wonderful it is that nobody need to wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. In thinking about my tomorrow, this quote really resonates with me. Quite honestly, we expect great things from all of our students, and we know that they have the potential. So we need not wait until they grow up. We can start right now if we help them. So allow me to introduce to you some amazing young people. Meet Dylan. At the ripe age of 9 years old, this young man co-founded a nonprofit international development organization for youth organizations, and it pulls kids from all over the world into the United Nations. Alex, on the other side of the screen, is a young girl who was diagnosed with cancer right before she turned 1. At the age of 4, she went to her mother and she told her that she wanted to start a lemonade stand to raise money for kids who were suffering with her illness. Unfortunately, Alex lost her battle to cancer and she died when she was 8 years old. But her legacy will live on forever. Across the United States, there are more than 10,000 volunteers who get together at 2,000 Alex Lemonade stands to produce over $1 million in revenue to support kids. I'd also like for you to meet Divine. This 17-year-old decided that he wanted to start a community center in Brooklyn for underprivileged youth. So he started a nonprofit organization He was able to raise $25,000. He then took that money to take a portion of his parents' home and turn it into a community center. He is cultivating a generation of community people who are enthusiastic about giving back to their neighborhoods. And then I would like for you to meet Ryan. Ryan, when he was 6 years old, was shocked to find out that in some countries, students walk miles to get fresh water. And so he started doing chores around the house for money. He also engaged in public speaking events so that he could raise money. And he was able to actually come up with the first well in a little village in Uganda. Today, he has a foundation that has 667 projects completed in 16 different countries, impacting 714,000 people with fresh water. Amazing. The bottom line is our children can do amazing things, particularly when they have the tools and the support around them. So what's motivating us? What's our North Star? We have a vision, and quite honestly, this vision, it isn't glamorous, it isn't sexy, but it's practical. Within 6 years, 100% of our seventh graders will graduate prepared to actively pursue a career choice that they've chosen. It's also something that we can measure. So we've heard from the business community. We've heard from our community leaders to say that we need to make sure that our kids are workforce ready. We also quite honestly understand that there's a critical link between the success of the students in our district and the success of the city. So My Tomorrow is an outcome, but it's also a launch pad. It builds on some things that we've already started within our district and propels them forward. So quite honestly, we've been anticipating these tougher, more rigorous standards, especially related to graduation. And so that's why we transitioned our 7th and 8th graders to high school. The elementary initiative, it sets some of the groundwork and the prep work to get our 6th graders ready to go on to high school with 7th and 8th grade. Our community learning centers, our facilities master plan in terms of providing high-tech environments for our kids have all been a part of a deliberate, intentional strategy by the board. We've expanded dual enrollment and advanced placement opportunities in the past, but with My Tomorrow, more is to come. So there are 8 guiding principles of My Tomorrow, and we feel that these principles will ensure that our students are ready for the real world. It involves academic, but also character development. I love this quote. I think it sums up the mindset that we have to have throughout the district. Excellence is not an aspiration. It is an expectation. We expect for all of our students in every seat, in every schoolhouse, every day to meet with academic success. Engagement is also at the top of our list. Our future is layered and it's heavily networked. So our students will need to be able to engage with kids and adults from all walks of life for them to develop fully to their greatest potential. You can see from this quote that comes from Fast Company just how important collaboration really is in today's workforce. Our students will need to be able to work together, to share responsibility, to make joint decisions. And in order to do this, our teachers and our administrators have to ensure that our kids are having opportunities to work across the curriculum. Real world connections. That involves us matching students with professionals in a very intentional way. Quite honestly, across our high schools, we have a variety of workforce-ready activities that are taking place. We don't want to lose the customization that's at each school, but we need to be able to ensure that every child has these same opportunities. So in addition to thinking about our amazing students that I introduced to you earlier, we want to connect students to their peers, locally and globally. Technology is a tool that we're using in one of our guiding principles. We know that our world is wired, that we are data-driven, and we say that all the time. And so our students must be able to have access to technology and to be able to use it to expand their knowledge and deepen their skills. A big part of having a thriving career involves being able to make good choices and having the right social skills to function within a work setting. And so social emotional learning is an intentional part of this initiative as well. We also recognize that our world is filled with information, and it's also filled with a lot of opinion. And so our students have to be able to sift through the clutter, to be able to analyze, synthesize, evaluate for themselves, and to make knowledge out of information. Creativity is a large part of our work, and some people consider it to be a very soft thing, but it's very important. A group of us over the course of the school year have been reading a book, Catching Up or Leading the Way. And it talks about education in the United States compared to education in other countries. And one of the things that the book talks about is the fact that, quite honestly, there are many countries that envy the fact that Americans are truly innovative. So creativity is very important. The United States holds the patents on a lot of inventions. And so we want to make sure that we capitalize on creativity. So what's My Tomorrow really about? It's about nurturing connections among our students. It's also about helping our students to be able to discover the possibilities within them and help lead them to their career of choice. It's about reimagining the classroom, this place called school, to develop new delivery systems of instruction and engage our students as lifelong learners. My Tomorrow, finally, is an initiative about leading our students into their future. It has us make sure that we are helping them to fulfill their full potential. So My Tomorrow is really all about customized learning for the student, their way, because it's all about them. So for just a moment, I'd like to recognize one of our staff members who worked on these beautiful images for My Tomorrow. Our graphic designer for our district, Susan Dornkemper. Where is Susan? This embodies the new face of CPS. Uh-oh. I might have a technical problem. We shall see if my computer continues. I just spilled water on it. Uh-oh. Maybe not. Oh, that was a terrible thing. There we go. Thank you. All right. Let's see if it holds up. I'll talk a lot faster now. Okay, high expectations. Let me put the cap on this bottle. Okay, so we know that the state has higher learning expectations. Thank you so very much. Got to be ready for the unpredictable. higher expectations. And so recognizing that we have to make sure that our students are authentically engaged with these rigorous new course standards, we've actually worked to revamp the curriculum at grades 7 and 8. And then we'll work to revamp the curriculum for grades 9 and 10 and the 11, 12. So there is a build-out plan for My Tomorrow. So when we look at English language arts, our high expectation, it isn't just a platitude. We've built this into our plan. High expectations, it's really the cornerstone for the work. So in English language arts, you'll see an expansion of academic vocabulary using a virtual workbook and assessment program. Students will be challenged to use social media in a responsible way, to be able to present information, engage others locally as well as globally. And in this complicated, shrinking world, we know that these are skills that our kids will have to have. In mathematics, we're going to use digital tools to examine and apply information in decision-making. They're also going to participate in cooperative projects. So it's really hard for us to imagine a future career that won't require these skills. In social studies, now our students will be required at each grade level to complete 2 capstone projects instead of 1, and they will be challenged through multiple writing opportunities throughout social studies. And in the area of science, our students will have to be able to inquire, to make judgments, to discover on their own, to be able to solve problems, and evaluate digital resources to determine credibility and accuracy of information. So in terms of high expectations, these little indicators, it's a snapshot of what's to come. There is a more expanded view of the curriculum. So I've just given you a highlight of some of them. So whether our students go directly to college, go into a job, go into a trade school, we know that all along the way we have to prepare them for a career. And so throughout the high school experience, this is the roadmap, the career readiness roadmap that we'll be using. And so on this, you'll see things like career clubs, digital portfolios, career mentoring, mock interviews, job shadowing, resume writing, career-based service learning, workplace etiquette, internships, apprenticeships, and a capstone senior project. So what's different about this is that we're going to make this systematic throughout the entire district. Every 7th grader will be involved in these activities on the career map. So you might be saying, this all sounds great, but how? So once again, My Tomorrow will build on previous initiatives that we've had in the district. And it's not just about 7th and 8th grade. These principles will be expanded through grades 12. So it will be a 7th through 12th grade initiative. We're going to be incorporating these strategies throughout the entire program. So just to give you an example, if we take advanced placement, there are some students who may not necessarily have access to a particular advanced placement course at their particular school. And so we've actually decided to hire someone, Kevin Keene. Is Kevin here? Kevin, would you stand up? So Kevin is a teacher who has been hired to the district, and Kevin will actually be teaching AP Psychology and AP Human Geography to those students who don't necessarily offer that course within their school. He is actually going to be teaching it through a blended learning model. So he's going to teach it online. Once a week, he will actually go out to the schools and be able to meet with the students. This also is a nice opportunity for us to launch a proof of concept idea around allowing students to take devices home. So the students who are taking AP Psychology and Human Geography will be able to take their laptops home so they can do their work there. And so you may be thinking, but what about internet access? All kids don't have that at home. We're actually going to provide a hotspot for them so that we are thoroughly equalizing the playing field so that our kids truly have access. So all CPS schools will have dual enrollment, advanced placement, and in many cases, they will have both. If we take another example, digital lessons. All 7th and 8th grade students will participate in digital lessons that their teachers will facilitate. And so we had a group of teachers, a design team of teachers, CPS teachers, who developed these digital lessons that will be provided throughout the school year. If we look at Playbook, it's a great tool that we're going to use to be able to carry out part of our work through advisory. And so in Playbook, you have Naviance, which will help you with career building. You have dashboards so that kids can actually monitor their own progress on assessments and grades. Advisory is a huge component of our initiative. This role is so critical because the research is very clear about the need to have students connected at school with a positive role model and mentor. And so during advisory, which will happen on a weekly basis, our students will have the opportunity to work with their teachers around a customized learning plan for them that leads them to their desired career. Now, we recognize that in 7th grade, you may think you're going to do one thing, and by the time you graduate, you may have another idea. And we're fine with that. But we want kids to have a plan. And so CPS teachers have developed lessons for advisory. So advisory will not be a study hall. It will not be an extension of a social studies classroom. It will truly be advisory, where students will work with teachers, working through Playbook and Naviance on their career plan. And during these advisory sessions that we're providing for our teachers, along with a toolkit of resources, students will actually create and work in something called a WOOP. And WOOP stands for Wish, Outcome, Obstacles, and Plan. It's a very simple tool and format for kids to be able to use. It's actually very kid-friendly. And so when we think about obstacles, we think about kids being able to go into Playbook and get on dashboard to see that on their last algebra exam, they didn't do so well. That might be an obstacle for them. So what's the plan to help me overcome? For elementary people, it's kind of like a data folder on steroids. So the future isn't waiting, and so neither are we. So here's what's to come for this year. Very exciting. This year, we will launch a 1-to-1 laptop to student device ratio within our schools for all 5,300 students. We have demonstration classrooms, 6 of them, that will be set across the district so that teachers can go and see how the integration of technology can be done at a stellar level. And actually, Craig Rush, is Craig in the room? Craig is one of our demonstration teachers. He's one of 6, but the reason I'm highlighting Craig is because Craig is actually going to lead a demonstration classroom in social studies. It is going to be a flipped classroom, and that will take place at Withrow. So as you can see, we are truly investing in our kids and in our teachers. So great teams and companies, they all have playbooks that they rely on to map out their future, their plans. And so our student playbooks, that's what it's all about, helping them map out a customized plan. It's a great digital resource for them to be able to use to chart their progress and to plan for their future. And so I could really talk to you about Playbook, but I'd rather show you a video. So quite honestly, we were very intentional. We wanted something young, hip, and cool. It has to apply to the customer. Remember, it's all about them. It's their tomorrow. And so I'd like to just take a couple of seconds to recognize Jennifer Wagner and her team. So Jennifer is responsible for the 5,300 devices being out in the schools. Sarah Oliver Trimble and her team. Sarah, please stand up with Debbie and Megan. They're responsible for Playbook. I'm like, it's so exciting, I can't stand it. I'm like, can you believe that this is Cincinnati Public Schools? So cool. So we know this is going to be a lot of hard work, right? So we have a support team in place that's dedicated to my tomorrow. As a matter of fact, we're creating a rubber stamp. So if something is stamped with my tomorrow, it rushes to the front of the line and is taken care of immediately. That's how serious we are about this. So we have an implementation team in place, and actually we also have a planning team in place to launch and get ready for 9-10. So we have two teams that are working simultaneously so that we can make sure that our kids are truly ready for the future. And actually, it's not even the future, but it's what's happening now in the rest of the world. So we have senior leadership, and so Gabe Lofton, Dr. Lofton, Bill Miles, where's Bill? He's usually running around somewhere. Bill Miles in the back, Jennifer Wagner. They actually sit on a weekly team that meets every single week since November, planning this for our students. We also have professional development. So the president of Marison Academy, Jillian Darwish. Is Jillian in the room? Nope. Okay. Well, Jillian's actually helping to lead the professional development that launched this summer. So this summer we hosted a 3-day retreat for our 7th and 8th grade teachers and the principals. And the major focus was around teacher collaboration, advisory, and the integration of technology. Next week, we're hosting all the 7th and 8th grade teachers again, where we will focus on high expectations in each content area, which will be breakout sessions to get into the curriculum differences, digital lessons, playbook, and ambiance. And then throughout the school year, we already have a plan that's been built for the delivery of PD ongoing throughout the entire school year. It's actually every month. And so that professional development will be open for 7th and 8th grade teachers first, and then for 9, 10, and 11, 12, so that they can start to prime the pump to get ready for what's coming. We have our curriculum team in place, and our curriculum team will be assisting this work and actually help driving the work. We also do, and I want to take this time to recognize we have a new curriculum manager for English language arts, Cindy Sanders. And I'm going to ask the entire curriculum team to stand, please. We also have a cadre of instructional courses instructional coaches who will be focused on My Tomorrow. And so we actually are running two models for instructional coaching. We have the traditional model that we've had for a number of years, but then we also have 6 coaches who are going to lead demonstration classrooms across the district in different content areas, different grade levels, and part of their work will be the implementation of the rigorous standards, but also the integration of technology. And so I'd like for the instructional coaches to please stand and be recognized. Thank you. We have our public affairs department. We could not do this without public affairs, and so I'd like for the public affairs department to please stand. They are a part of our support team. And then we cannot forget Career Tech. This is huge. So Kelly and Joan, would you please stand? This is our Career Tech team. And we have Department of Human Services or Student Services at the table as well. So Kevin Jamison and Susan Bunty, would you please stand? So I think this is the first time in my career at Central Office, which is entering my 10th year here. I think this is the first time that I can remember an initiative which was truly cross-departmental. Almost every department is at the table except for the Treasurer's Department. We go to them when we have our plan and we say we need some money. But you can see that we have made sure that we are breaking down the silos, and it's actually been a pretty high-performing team. And so as my good friend and old-time mentor always says, Melody Dacey, she says, it isn't hard for people to get along and work together as long as you have meaningful work. This is meaningful work. So as we access data, we're going to quite honestly embrace a culture of continuous improvement. And so we are going to conduct routine self-evaluations. We're going to ask external people to come in and look at our work and make recommendations, because quite honestly, we want to be held accountable to the high expectations and standards that we're holding for our students. So this is the big picture. If we had to put everything together to symbolize My Tomorrow, you have course offerings in terms of rigorous curriculum, advanced placement, dual enrollment, customized and rigorous. You have course requirements in terms of the high school graduation requirements, those new requirements. You know, we still have the requirement to have 4 units of math at high school, 4 of English language arts, 3 science and social studies. But we're also now going to have from the Ohio Department of Education some new expectations around end-of-course assessments. And students will have to be able to pass 7 end-of-course assessments or be able to enter into or be deemed as remediation-free through ACT and SAT scores. And then we have Naviance. And all of those things come together to lead us to graduation. But we want to make sure that our kids are ready for a job, for college, for the military, vocation, for a career. And actually, our superintendent in her wisdom recognized before the state said that they were going to have ACT across the state as an assessment. Our superintendent implemented across the board ACT for 11th graders for a number of years now. And it all begins now. We're launching this for 7th and 8th grade this year, 9th and 10th in 2015-16, and then 11th and 12th grade in 2016-17. So, welcome to My Tomorrow. So I would like the core team who have been working on this work to come forward down. So I want you to be able to see the team who will be working with you. So curriculum managers, IT department, Bill, Gabe, student services, research and evaluation, public affairs. So this is our core team. We meet every week and we plan and we do work to make sure that this happens. And although this core team is standing in front of you, we know, high school principals, please stand. If you're a principal of a K-8 building, if you could please stand, high school principals, K-8 building principals. Although we're standing before you, we know that you are the real heroes. You're the ones who have to make it happen. You have to make it happen. You're the champions and the supporters of this work. And so today we salute you and we thank you for the hard work and acknowledge what you've already done and what you're going to continue to do. We want you to know that we are your support team. We are here to serve you. Elementary principals, hold on to your seatbelts because my tomorrow is coming to you soon, just not this year. So we want our students to know all about my tomorrow. We want them to have a customized, individualized plan. We want them to know, and more than anything, to appreciate that no one owns or controls their future like they do. And that's what my tomorrow, it's all about me, is all about. It's not a selfish me, but it's my way for my needs, my interests. So, students, what do you think?
For me personally, I'm glad that we have the opportunity to have internships. I'm glad that we'll have one-on-one advisors to help us prepare our students better for college.
I'm glad we have a plan for our future. And I'm excited for the job shadow.
So it's all about me, but it's our future, our collective future. So I'd like to thank our students, Saleha, Deidre, Demontre, and Andrew for being here. Also, thanks to our board for supporting us and pushing us. Thank you to our superintendent for believing in us and saying, take a chance, do something bold, and go get them. Thank you.
Just want to acknowledge and thank Laura Mitchell for her leadership.
All right, now we would like to end the way we began. It was really with our students. And this is made possible through a partnership with the district in Elements. It's a community-based organization in Over the Rhine, and it works with urban teenagers using music, poetry, and arts as vehicles for positive self-expression. So the song you're about to hear was composed by 19-year-old Keith North, and he's a recent SCPA graduate. And Keith will perform it with Damon Hoskins, who is a 16-year-old junior at North College Hill High School. And the theme really is about persistence and grit, which helps you persevere in life. And I think that's a lesson for all of us to remember. We must have perseverance and grit also in our collective work on behalf of students. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Keith and Damon.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Brother Abdullah. I'm the creative director of Elements. We're pleased to be here today and to be partnering with the Cincinnati Public Schools. This album that we're working on is called Rise. It's geared upon the same things that I'm hearing today in the conversation about teaching young people to take the lives in their own hands and take control and be resilient. So I'm going to give the microphone to my man Damon and Keith, who are going to be performing this song, and they wrote this themselves for the young people today.
Well, as they said, my name's Keith North, recent graduate from SCPA, School for Creative and Performing Arts, 19 years of age. How y'all doing, ladies and gentlemen? Good morning, by the way. My name is Damon Hoskins. I attend Diamond Oaks. I go to North College Hill School, and I'm 16-year-old, and I am a senior this year. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a good microphone. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a song we have made called Rise. And it go like, they told you that you couldn't, you showed them that you could. Now you all over the globe doing what they wish they could. You that came a long way from being that kid around the way to that kid that it made it best college in the state. See what can happen when you got a tad bit of patience. A long road ahead, but it's worthwhile waiting. I done came a long way from being that kid around the way. On my way to selling shows, moving state to state. See, when I had no motivation, was my own inspiration. Had to quit being lazy, got the chance, I had to take it. When no one gave me a hand, had to stand up on my two. Now look what I become, sophisticated, stand true. What they tell you, G. They told me I can't be what I want. I told them that I'ma go up. Alright, so we rise. So we rise, yeah. They told me I can't be what I want. I told them that I'ma go up. Alright, so we rise. So we rise. You see the progression of mine, you know I'm one of a kind. I swear when it comes to this fame, me and my homies gon' shine. We know the hustle, the grind, we know it's gon' take some time. So get a watch and DVR this young brother with rhymes. When I turned 7, I knew I was destined. Mama kissed my cheek, ran me blessings. Grandma said you gon' make me proud one day. Guess it's time to go get it. If it's about money, then you know that I'm with it. Boy, I'm a lion, I ain't never been chicken. But education still rule the nation. My whole team out here to finish, yeah. They told me I can't be what I want. I told them that I'ma go up. Alright, so we rise. So we rise. Yeah, they told me I can't be what I want. I told them that I'ma go up. Alright, so we rise. So we rise. Yeah. Elements, elements. When I say hip hop, y'all say respect. Hip hop, hip hop. Thank you.
Isn't that a great way to end? But actually, before we end, I know that we have just one or two quick announcements. Janet Walsh, would you come down? And also Jeff Crystal wants to make an announcement.
This has been a great day, and thank you for being part of it. It's wonderful. We wanted to have you feel special, so we tried something different. We had valet parking. Some of you did not elect to use the valet parking, which is fine. But there are some people who will be, I know, staying for later in the day, who elected not to use the valet parking and instead parked across the street at property that used to be owned by Hamilton County, but now belongs to Christ Hospital, which means it's a private property. So parking there is not okay, and I would strongly suggest that in the break, you move your car. That's all for me.
Thank you, Jen. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to make two brief announcements on behalf of CAS. First off, I'd like all administrators to please stop at the membership table outside in the hallway here. You'll see Karen Mulligan. Karen has prepared a packet for each person that has some information and a membership form. We ask that each administrator complete the membership form, even if you have been a member in the past. We need the form completed, and if you could return that to Karen Mulligan. And the second announcement, I'd like to make sure that everyone is aware of the back-to-school celebration, which will be taking place after the principals meeting this afternoon. It's at the Mecklenburg Gardens. That invitation is extended to everyone, so please come and join CAS for a lot of fun and socialization, getting ready to start the new school year off. That's it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jeff. That's a great way to end a year. That concludes our program. Thank you for being here, and let's have a wonderful year. Thank you.